So this session brings us back to the coast and to the question of how communities can respond to the environmental challenges facing coastal regions today. Across many coastal cities, issues like marine waste, material flows, and ecosystem degradation are becoming increasingly visible. Addressing these challenges require not only policy and technology, but also systems that work with communities, local knowledge, and everyday practices. And this has been a trend or theme that we've been seeing throughout our panels from day one. So this is just a continuation and a different perspective of those same principles. So our next speaker has been working at exactly this intersection. Divya Hegde is the founder of Baeru, a coastal climate venture building practical blue economy systems for communities along India's coast. Her work focuses on creating accountable waste and material flow systems for coastal regions, combining technology, local knowledge, and community participation. She has worked with the government of Karnataka on harbor waste systems, and her work has been recognized by organizations including UNESCO, UN Women, and NITI Ayog. So today she will share how design and community-led systems can drive more resilient coastal futures. A theme that is very close to my heart. So please join me in welcoming Divya Hegde on stage.
Don't even need a mic, okay. Thank you for coming by today. Okay. I want to ask that we keep it a little more interactive. So even when I'm talking and I get excited and I will ramble off, so you can feel free to stop me and ask me questions. Okay. Okay. But feel free to ask questions in between. By way of introduction, I'm Divya Hegde. Started my career in Google. Now I work in garbage. It's been a very interesting space for me, and it all started with why? Why are things like this? Why are you dumping into the water? Why are you being so blind that you're not seeing the impact of dumping on health, etc.? Which brings me to then, why are things like this? Is it by design? Is it by neglect, right? And I mean, we all know we belong to a coast that's flanked by the stunning ocean on one side and the Western Ghats on the other. But you know what's even more stunning? Waste management is broken over here. Every minute of every year, one truck full of plastics equivalent to that is dumped into the ocean. Nobody knows because the ocean is silent. But the impact of it is absolutely not. So I want to ask a question, and it's not rhetorical, right? When we call it waste when it leaves our hands. And then we call it someone else's headache because it reaches the drain and it's out of our ambit. And then we are calling it a crisis when it hits the ocean. That also, when, I don't know, an organization like UN declares that it's the decade of ocean, it has not come to us like that. So at what point did anyone actually design a solution? We sit in parties and we're like, oh man, there's so much pollution, so irresponsible, there's no civic sense. Where is the civic sense coming from? And how do we approach administrative bodies and say, hey, we want this done? Because the response from the other side will be, okay, but are you segregating, right? And I think in the panel earlier today, I said, we talk about garbage to gold, waste to wealth, and all of these fancy keywords. It's really not gold if you don't segregate it. Just imagine curd rice, sanitary pad, syringe, all mixed, coming to a waste management center, and you have to use your hands and segregate it, and then go to lunch after that. Is this by design or is it neglect? And it is absolutely atrocious for us to imagine, but we have waste workers that do this on a daily basis. They go from door to door, they have to pick this waste. Someone in the household will say, "Ah, kasada aur bandru." Like that waste person came. Is she a waste person because she came to pick up the garbage you generated? No, like even starting with the language, right? Things need to change. Now, here's one kuti exercise, not compulsory, but just close your eyes and imagine what you believe your coast is. What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you feel? Just take 5 seconds. Okay. Does anyone want to share their ideal coast? Okay. He sees waves hitting, hears the waves, and smells the salt in the air. And the sticky, humid feeling on your skin. Now, to this beautiful feeling, throw some thermocol, some fish nets, some plastic, one diaper, one broken beer bottle, because legends like to break beer bottles on the beach. I do not understand this, but they will finish, smack it, crack it, and leave it. So how does that feel? And that's what we are doing slowly to our coast when we say it's not our problem. And I was one such person for a large part of my life that said, let's not antagonize people. You can't argue with stupid people. Like, it's like going and hitting your head against the wall. And now I'm like, you have to keep hitting your head against the wall. At some point, at least the paint will chip. Your head will crack, but at least that paint will start chipping. That next crazy person behind you can come and continue cracking their head. That's where our organization Baeru comes in. Initially, we called ourselves Tip Sessions. It was a short form for another thing, and it's a story for another day. But we eventually rebranded to Baeru, which is Roots in Kannada, because we really wanted to connect with our audiences. Tip started sounding like tips, like as if we were doing it for arms, and then it became Tipsu, and it just took a life of its yeah, tipsy, yeah. You have to be one level of tipsy to do. But I'll get into how we got about it. I'm going to start with the impact first and then reverse engineer it. Today, we are working with a network of more than 1,500 women in coastal Karnataka. We've diverted more than 50,000 metric tons of waste from the ocean. Income increase has been about 133%. This is economic, circularity in economics, not in materials. And this matters because if you think about the language of climate communications, for grassroots folks, it's livelihoods, it's migration, it's health, it's floods, it's all of this stuff. For us, it is a conference, it is a 1.5 degree, it is alternate materials, it's economies of scale and all this other stuff. But when we go to the communities, who has skin in the game? You need to talk to them and answer what matters to them, right? And then we have an MOU with the department to have access to all harbors in Karnataka where we can do the ocean plastics recovery. So we work on two fronts. One is we bring back plastics from the ocean. We incentivize fishermen to do it, and then their communities will clean, process, and earn from it. The other front is where we train women on land to do door-to-door collection, segregation. There are already government sheds. So then they earn a fair income out of it. We add a final layer, which is technology. because all of this work without tracking is just claim. And it is data that will help future policy planning, future proposal planning, and mitigate claims from every stakeholder involved. And we do this in vernacular languages, in vernacular low tech, because it is made for places and populations that are not digital native. The idea is technology has to work for people. People cannot work for technology. Did I miss something? Oh yeah. So we started India's first like rural coastal material recovery facility because we really wanted to see what happens, right? We didn't say we're going to be profitable. We said, man, we might land flat on our face, but let's see what happens. We are a team of 37 folks. On a daily basis, we run different experiments because the idea is not to be anybody's favorite. And I'm pretty positive we are nobody's favorite in each sector because our job is to say it as is. But here's how it actually functions. We call them ocean gardens because when we say address them as waste workers, immediately that status feeling comes into play, and we want to move away from that. So these women, they collect plastic from harbors and coastline. That's households and businesses on a daily basis. They're very organized. They have vehicles, they have frameworks, they have the technology where they scan the amount of waste that comes. In our centers, we have image recognition software that identifies the kind of brands that come, the kind of plastics that come. We're able to easily say with confidence levels what kind of material this is, which gives then birth to analytics, predicting seasonal changes, sales, etc. And then I know everyone's talking about AI, but a large part of this is human intelligence, because you can use all the technology you want, but if the community doesn't design the work for themselves, then you're throwing rules at them. And very often what happens, the government, officers, NGOs, social startups, etc., will come in with their best practices, the best that they have learnt, make frameworks, and sometimes it just falls flat because we all have maybe missed out that one crucial detail that the communities know. For example, when we first started, of course, we had rose-tinted glasses. We said, we're doing such good job. Like, of course, everyone will love us for it. The women will cooperate, etc. What we didn't plan for was the crazy rains. You need storage during rainy season. You can't just have a shed and say, okay, we're going to segregate, we're going to store here. No, in the rainy season, you have a different kind of a beast. Have you planned for that? In Bangalore, you can't go for 3 festivals in 1 week. Your boss will say, stay home. Here, it is more important for that person to go for their community's events, even if it means skipping that entire week. And it is perhaps something we need to learn from them. It is by design that they are like that. And we as external forces are trying to change that design because we're saying, now you will have formal work hours, you'll have your ESI, PF, you'll have a timetable. You should be grateful for that. And really, if you look at the informal sector, they feel very sad for us. We have very boxed lives, right? They'll be like, oh, from morning to evening you worked. And they really feel like, oh, what a sad life. They'll not say it to you, but you can see it in their face. You have to work every day. Yeah, yeah, right? So what we think is us making their life better, or what we think is formalizing the informal sector. This is an informal sector. It is not an unorganized sector. These folks have been working long before MRFs, fancy social startups, NGOs, all that came, and they've been running the system. Now suddenly there's disruption and we expect them to adopt it without any resistance. and without any tension. That is what we've been trying to design out. Whether these women can work, recover, sort it in the center, and process it. Until now, we would send it for sales. Now we're thinking, should we have these women do the pelletization so that they can earn the income? Because the money is not in the collection and segregation. The money is in the final product. But we are so delighted with our marketing of waste to wealth that we are losing perspective of the other side. But when you drop the ball is when the whole system collapses. So the design truly does matter the most. It's only when the money flows backward that you know your design is working. You can only scale when the model is working. Otherwise, it's pilots. You're going to do ribbon cutting, you're going to do a pilot, then you're going to drop it. Then the administration will wonder what the hell happened to this organization. They've disappeared. And there is a habit of organizations doing pilots and hopping across places. We need to be designing systems, not pilots. So as Baeru, our ultimate goal is, can we stop working one day? If we can stop working one day, it means we have done something right. No, we may not be able to solve India's problems or global problems, but have we achieved a percentage of what we've set out to achieve? Can we stop working? And this is something we have to learn from the communities, because they have assigned more meaning to their lives. At least for me, I've assigned so much meaning to my startup or the brand. If you take away that work from me, there are times where I'm like, who's Divya without Baeru? And these are designs we have to learn from the community. So like I said earlier, if you make every rupee and kilogram traceable and logged, then the circular part you will see is truly not the plastics, it's economics. There are plenty of people buying recyclables. What's happening with the non-recyclables? There's plenty of people buying fish nets. What's happening with the broken nets that are not reusable? These are things civil society, designers, scientists, everyone need to come together, think, plan, productize, because everything can be a resource if it is recovered well and reused. These photos are just an illustration of how we do it. We have QR codes for every household that we work with. The women go, scan the QR code, input the type of material and the quantity of material that comes in. In our centers, we have AI that is recognizing it's usually a video, but I know that in all PPTs, like on stage, videos freeze. So these are stills of what's actually happening. You see this 0.46, 0.63, 0.81. It's all confidence levels of what the camera knows that the material is, right? So then what happens is this is data that can be provided to government bodies, brands that potentially claim that they're taking back plastics from the atmosphere, but it's not really happening. So as a team, and it doesn't have to be us, anyone, if you have a section of your team that's been given the freedom to continuously experiment, because for us, our best user experience team are the women. You can come with the best technology in the world, they will punch holes in it because they have lived reality. I'll give you an example. We started this QR code system. We went door to door, started scanning. Some of the citizens asked, hey, what is that? We had one engineering, like he was one rock star, one kid. He said, how do I simplify it? Because I keep saying, keep it simple, don't use keywords. He said, how do I simplify this? He told the resident, you know Google Pay. And he said, yeah. He said, this is just like Google Pay. Within 5 minutes, that entire neighborhood came and started screaming at these people because they thought we were withdrawing their money. Right? And then one of the women that works with us said, hey, alalala, hana, adalla. Idu neevu madidre, if you do this, the panchayat will know whether you gave waste or not. So we'll be tracking all of you. Actually, that's not even what we are doing. We are looking at the materials only. But look at that wisdom that only comes from the ground. So you cannot talk at communities. You have to talk with them and work with them. And that's the use of technology for us. This is an example of how we go. We literally hop from boat to boat to boat picking up waste, because these guys will come back from a 15-day boat trip. They'll be tired. You can't expect them to walk to the center. So we do pickups. We give them tools and we pick up the waste. We then thereafter weigh it and then pay them. This is how a typical MRF looks. There's women working. On top, you have a conveyor belt. The material is put at the bottom. You have an upward conveyor belt. The material goes to the top. Then you have a flat conveyor belt. It moves. Each woman is assigned a target for the day. One will pick plastic, one will pick paper, things like that. And did you all know that Karnataka is the only state where you get alcohol in Tetra packs? I learnt that after getting into waste. By the way, with waste, you can really tell the consumption pattern of various neighborhoods. So if any of you guys are doing anything illegal, I will know. So, and we've seen examples of that. So once the segregation is done, it comes to the bottom. There are different compartments. Each compartment will house a specific material. After which, I wonder if there's a baling machine. There is no. So you guys must have heard of hydraulic presses. So after this, we pour the material into a hydraulic press. It gets baled. It looks like boxes of materials and gets stored. So then buyers come, pay these women and take the material away. And then sometimes we have to do this song and dance with buyers where we will hoard, because they will say, oh, we'll not pay you this much, market price has crashed. Those are the times where you need storage spaces. And that is why it is important while designing material recovery facilities to also design for storage, to design for restrooms for these women, and gendered restrooms, to design for rest area. Accommodation, I've seen many places where accommodation is within the center. That could be a hazard. It needs to be outside. Fire planning, these are all petrochemical materials. Fire planning is so important. CCTV cameras, that's another thing that will protect you in various ways for various incidents. Couple of lessons we've learned through these past few years. I'm just going to take you through three of them. One is design for how they already communicate. Don't come in like, know-it-alls and tell them what to do. They are living their life with certain restrictions. You have to navigate that, work around it, because no solution will be perfect. You are not perfect, and the result will not be 100%. But these are steps. You are paving the pathway for different people. Their life will not be perfect. Do not judge them, not in front of them. Try to work with them. It will not be something your funder likes. It will not be something maybe even like, which will sound like a very nice Instagram or LinkedIn post. But I think we have to start normalizing failure. There is no success without going through tons of failure. But we like to celebrate success so much. It puts social enterprises, officers, everyone under pressure to only talk about the good. How do you talk about what's not working if you don't address it? And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like along our hometowns, failure is not something that's encouraged, let alone celebrated. You attempted an exam twice, civil services, didn't become successful. Some uncle or aunt will say, "Ninkai lagadilla bidu, don't do it again." Even in school, for marks, or the kind of subjects you choose to study. We have people that say, "Oh, madam, we won't get proposals if we come and work with waste management with you." So there is a cultural level of relearning and unlearning and redesigning that has to happen. And don't judge. It may not be the background you came from. It may not be some things that you agree with. But what is your North Star? Is it changing culture? Is it fighting the marriage battle? Is it fighting the caste problem? Is it fighting the waste? Stick to that North Star. You're not going to be everybody's hero. Stick to that North Star and work towards it. Second is, we deliberately chose human sorting over automated. The actual reality is, India generates far too much municipal waste to be able to be handled manually. That is truly the reality. Having said that, can we replace all of these communities with machinery? No, that's a livelihood loss. So then what is the design principle we can think of over here? Can we do a partnership? We keep talking about dignified dignified livelihoods in waste. Is it really dignified to touch waste, even with gloves? No. Is there some part of it that can be automated so that they don't touch absolutely horrible mixed waste? Civic sense coming to the mainstream as a conversation and coming into the conscience as a culture are two different things. And we truly are light years away from that happening. In the meanwhile, how can we fast track waste management? So it's got to be a combination of human intelligence and machine intelligence. Lastly, I alluded to it earlier, let's be done with pilot projects. I'm not saying pilot projects shouldn't happen. Pilot projects should happen. But I think organizations need to be accountable to take it forward. It can't be a pilot project successful in, I don't know, for example, Tannir Bavi, and then you drop the ball and you go somewhere else to do a pilot project. That continuation needs to happen. That's when you start thinking of systems. You're thinking, are you designing for decade one, not day one? Is it sustainable? What is the viability gap funding that is required? A lot of the time we're thinking, let's just start, we'll then figure it out. Because we are so comfortable with Jugaad. But that puts unnecessary amount of pressure on officials, on communities, on social enterprises. And then you come to a situation where investors are simply not leaning towards putting money into waste because they don't know where to track the money flow, right? Design for the person closest to the problem. I'm not going to elaborate on this because I think from the beginning to now I've been giving little examples of how we've been doing this. We excuse bad design just the same way as we excuse bad behavior, right? A naughty kid is just a kid. Someone else behaves badly, oh, they must have had a bad day. Old person behaves badly, they're aged. You have to let it be. We have an excuse for every single type of behavior and we validate every single type of behavior. It's just a prototype, that's why it didn't become successful. Limited resources, that's why it's not successful. The community isn't ready. The community has always been ready. Who's listening? We have to start listening. And that's where the design process actually starts and has hope of coming one full circle. So thank you for listening. That's it from me. Happy to take questions.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you think that, I know there's a stigma towards garbage and trash. I know it's not possible, but if a government or anyone does a mandate, like a mandatory garbage thing for like each family or like each society, that this is today will be your turn, go around to pick garbage instead of like garbage workers, like you will be the garbage worker for a day. Like if they do something mandatory, something like that, would that help with the stigma?
We tried one experiment similar to this. We started making it mandatory for parents to enter workshops with kids in school. So they have to attend it. And we talk about garbage, how it impacts their kids' health, how it impacts women. And then we also take them to a tour, like waste tourism. We take them for the tour of the center. And at that moment, it really hits them. Not so much 1 week down the line. So if in the moment they get impacted so much and not so much down the line, it means it worries them. But there are other worries in their life that take over the moment you leave the center. Right? It's similar to, forget about anything else, me. Once I finish this Q&A, I'll give you my best possible answers and leave. Then my mother will call me and shout about something I didn't do at home. So then I'm distracted. And then I'm telling, oh, you're never grateful for what I do. Everyone has problems, including communities. So for that lady, she has to come at 8 p.m., finish at 5 p.m. The burden of the world's waste is on her. But some other country is creating waste and it's coming through our oceans. So it can't be one-time interventions. It needs to be regular. So do you have people who will sustain the program throughout? Because everyone has everyday life to deal with. That's where organizations come in to uphold this. With this specific idea, there are places where they're doing ward level monitoring and all of that, and it has worked. But you cannot be a person that calls one day and says, hey, you know, there is one family function. Today I cannot come. Next time it will be my daughter, something is there. I'll come next time. Then that person that's dealing with you on the other line will simply stop counting you. So the issue here again, back to design. By design, is it continuous? Is it easy to uphold? This requires someone coming from somewhere doing this on a daily basis. Can this be done with technology? I'm not giving you the answer, but I'm saying give people the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest thing. We've all been raised to say hard work is God's work, like you do the work, you will get the result. No, things have changed. Sometimes hard work means hardly any work because it's too much for a person to bear. So again, that is where also systems design, human-centric design approach, all of that comes, because you have to assume the worst will happen and design for that. And when it works, definitely, if not the top of the line, you will land somewhere in between.
So when, I mean, even you might have seen, like before there used to be like in area there would be like a garbage bin, like a big, nowadays I don't see it anywhere because the tempos or the trucks will come and pick up the trash.
Yeah.
Do you think having a area garbage bin would help in a way? Like they would have, they should obviously separate it like organic and dry waste.
Yeah.
But I think, I'm not sure if it will work.
It will work.
But I think if the people coming to your home and picking up stuff, instead of that you have an aerial thing, I think we are forced to go and dispose like separately. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the good folks. The others will throw it into the neighbor's house or just outside the gate. We've seen that also happen. If you put the onus on them, one day somebody is really busy and they're also angry with their neighbor. You just know my next sentence. This door-to-door pickup is a way of accountability actually. Only thing missing there is traceability, which I think we have to bring in to say on such, pardon me? Right. And it's happening in some places of Udupi also. Where we've gone a step ahead is we are tracing. Has this house kept it outside the house? Because not everyone will be at home at the same time this vehicle goes. That's an impossible coordination to do. Is it outside the house? Is it segregated? Can we wait? Is this person selling off all the valuables to someone else and only giving me chips and biscuit packets? Because chips and biscuit packets are amongst the most hard to recycle, right? And that has hardly any value. So door-to-door is a great way, unless you have a neighborhood that's so lovely and accountable, where if you have segregation, large bins, and it is being cleared from time to time, then yes. Otherwise, you will have the black spot problem. Where there's black spot, someone will clean it, then people will start dumping again because, oh, it's getting cleaned anyway. Or they see garbage there, this is a place to make mess. Let's keep dumping there. Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else? Yep.
Hi.
Hi.
It was lovely to see what Baeru
Thank
is
you.
doing here. And you showed a shot where you all were collecting trash along the boats, and I'm assuming.
Ah.
So I belong to, my roots are from Bengre.
Okay.
The end where you see Ullal on the other side. And it's one of the most difficult places
I
to
know.
get cleaned. Where very interestingly you said talk to the community instead of at, and they are so used to seeing dirt at the coast for two reasons. One, it's there all the time, and it's there naturally as well, because it seems because of the way it's located, the trash from anywhere
Yeah, ends up there.
it ends
Yeah.
up there. So they are so used to, especially monsoon, no one even dares to touch it. So it's there, and at some point it will get collected. But the universal problem is that they get so used to seeing that becomes part of their daily life.
Their
And
environment, yeah.
yes, and the moment someone else comes in, they will see it immediately. So it's easily noticeable to them. So that's one. And second is very interesting point about, he asked whether having a common place would work or not. So here I also see that there's no common place anymore, but the trash collection happens at a particular time. People have to go to work, and obviously the collectors cannot be on time every day. So they miss out. They can't just keep it outside, because then dogs and all of that, and it'll be there all day. So what ends up happening is, by the end of the day or during the night, there are women carrying loads of trash, just dumping it by the beach. And why? Because again, naturally, there's a lot of pile there. No one's gonna come to know.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult, like where to start. So multiple things I've said. One is, I wanted to know, is Baeru connected anywhere on those lines? And if anyone wants to get more connected to this and see how these things can be solved, how it can be approached, and what are your thoughts on things that I've mentioned?
Okay. So this is a classic design and collaboration approach. One is, these communities are comfortable as is because 100 Baerus have come before us. I'm saying Baeru because that's the name of my organization. But there have been 100 well-intentioned people and organizations that have come, and somewhere along the line something has broken. I'll give you an example. When I first started working, I brought some potential funders who will help the community directly to see the center. And the lady there, without any emotion, said, "Madam, ಇವತ್ತು ಅಳಬೇಕಾ, ನಗಬೇಕಾ, ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಹೊಗಳಬೇಕಾ, ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? Means today, do you want me to cry? Do you want me to laugh? Do you want me to praise you? Do you want me to tell a sad story?" What does that tell you? I am not the rock star that came to rescue them. There have been previously people who have come. But that link, that chain has broken. Because the people that came would have done the pilot, and maybe they got a pilot somewhere else. Maybe they ran out of funding. Right? So in many ways, I know our favorite thing is to bash officers and politicians. But it really is a collaborative thing. If we give up and say, oh, they didn't cooperate, they didn't meet me at a certain time, whatever it is, where is anything going to go? Waste management is no one person's full-time job. So again, this is the flaw in the design. Are we doing systems thinking? Are we doing pilot success stories? Secondly, yes, not everyone is at home when waste pickers come, and animals are truly a problem. In some places what we've done is, can these bins be hammered or fixed to the walls? And it has been successful in many places, so that it is out of the reach of animals. A lot of these problems have very small, affordable fixes. You need to see what kind of things the community is okay with, and many times these ideas will come from the community itself. And the other thing is space. So the issue with space is many times, and the rule is you can't bring wet waste into a dry waste center. There's no space. The moment the administration approves land, there will be one hero who will put one public interest litigation, take it to court, and that land will be disputed for a long time. Because the fear is, oh, there's a landfill coming. No, there is a land allotted for waste management. Someone has misused and miscommunicated this, and therefore there's a PIL. We've not run out of land. We've run out of excuses, and we are living in the fear that there will be landfills. So all land gets stuck in court, which gets dragged on for years. So then it goes back to design of behavior change. One of the things, and this is also something I mentioned in the morning panel, we have a separate vertical called Culture for Climate, where we think what are things that are important to the community. For example, the places we are from, in fact, the entire coast of Karnataka, Yakshagana, it's synonymous with us. It's so synonymous, it's getting mistaken for Kantara, right? But the thing is, Yakshagana artists have also had problems since COVID. Can we not corrupt their art form, but leverage them to talk about oceans and plastics and health and segregation? So we have a character called Beware of Plasticasura, which is like our flagship project. These artists earn. They go to startup events, government events, schools, colleges, fisheries union events, etc. We ensure they get paid for their art. But they talk about what happens when you throw plastic away. That same away, ocean, stomach of fish, plate system. Or they make light of the situation about how humans can be selfish, why are they not segregating, etc. And when you communicate in these ways, in art that resonates with you, you're most likely to remember the story. We're habits, like we're creatures of habit, and we love story. We love drama. There's some sort of drama or the other with us every day. So we really need to utilize this. And now Plasticasura has really a life of its own. In a month we have many programs. There's a group that takes the artists, they earn their income, and like in low season they'll say, Madam, is there any work? We're happy to come. We've taken them to Bangalore. They've performed at the Altef festival, for those of you who know it. So there's many possibilities, and it need not be Yakshagana. And truly we are really happy to collaborate with anyone who wants to use. We use virtual reality experiences that kids experience. What is the underwater like? Why am I being asked to protect something I have no idea about? What are these animals that they're talking about? How does carbon dioxide react with things underwater, corrode it? How does it impact my oxygen? Things like that. When experienced in an immersive format, is much more memorable. And I've seen firsthand where people are nodding their heads so vigorously when I go to give them gyan. And then they'll just ball up that pamphlet and throw it the moment I turn around and go. So we had to really think, what is this communications piece that you have to crack? Because communications truly is everything for behavior change, for change management, for stakeholder management, coordination, training, everything. So yeah. I don't know if I answered your question.
Thanks so much for that. Just one last question, because then we'll have to move on.
Sorry. Hi.
Hi.
It's been a very interesting talk, and for me, I come from like a genuine problem that I'm facing, and I'm hoping that you have a solution or an answer for me. I think there's so much confusion when it comes to waste management and waste segregation in cities as well, right? So I live in Bijay.
Okay.
And my workplace is in Balmatta, not too far from each other. but the way waste gets picked up in both the areas is completely different.
Okay.
So at my home, dry waste is picked every Friday. So we collect through the week. They are very nice, like they are very strict. They come on Fridays and we keep it outside. They collect it. We know the timings and everything. And then wet waste, because for us we've got like a backyard. So my wet waste goes directly to the backyard, and there's just very few things that go for the wet waste collection that happens daily. Now at my workplace, which is a restaurant, there's daily wet waste. Now, we tried to use our common sense thinking that we get a dustbin for the wet waste and, collect in that, keep a lid, keep it in the night, in the morning they come and they pick it up. Apparently that's not allowed. You have to put it inside a plastic bag, which we did not understand why. But arguing with them is again pointless. And then we thought, okay, we'll get the biodegradable plastics, which is again too weak for a restaurant usage.
Yeah.
It's just for a home where you have maybe 1 kilo of wet waste, or not even 1 kilo, 500 grams of wet waste that is going on a daily basis. So for us, then we were like, okay, plastic, okay, fine. So we would empty it into the garbage bag, keep it in the night. Then that also became a problem. They're like, you're supposed to keep the garbage bag inside a dabba and keep the lid on the
Lid
dabba, and
closed.
only then we collect it. And we're like, what's the whole point of segregation? If you're going to tell me to put it inside a plastic bag and you're not going to pick it up if it is not inside the plastic bag, and then you go one step further to make it difficult for us by saying that now you have to put it in a dabba also. So I don't know where the confusion lies, whether each of them are making up their own rules, or whether, we can work as a community also to educate each other on actually what are the rules behind these things.
Yeah.
Because I'll be very honest, last year they went on strike for 5 days, they didn't pick up. And after that point, we are like, please do not anger them. They got into a fight with a building on the opposite side, and then they just did not turn up for 5 days, and we are all workplaces there. It's not residential.
Yeah, so it becomes a mess.
Restaurants, you've got supermarkets, you've got everything that's generating waste on a daily basis that needs to be cleared. And while we are all doing the segregation, the minute they go on a 5-day strike, then we are like, okay, whatever you say we'll do, just collect the waste on a daily basis. So is it necessary? Like, I'm genuinely confused, and I've not found this answer from them also, because they also don't answer clearly when I ask them.
They do know the answers, they won't, because it's too much time. Their targets are insane, right, to have that conversation. They have to keep picking up and going, otherwise somebody will call someone else, they will call them and say, yaake nu pick up madilla. Why they tell you to put it in a bin is because of at night animals will come and tear it apart. Why plastic? Because this wet waste becomes really heavy. You need a lot of energy to pick it up. They are going at full speed. If it's a flimsy material, it's going to just drop over there. That's when the drama starts. Somebody on the road will come and start yelling at them. And these people, historically, they're so used to getting yelled at by all stakeholders, right? They just don't want to deal with it. Look at how effective going on a 5-day strike was. It was senseless, but it was effective.
No, I agree with that part. But my point is that we are genuinely trying to make it easy for them. But also when you tell to segregate wet and dry, then I feel that somebody has to work on probably a material that works, because these are regular plastic
Correct.
garbage
And
bags
there
that
are
we are
actually,
packing in.
Yeah, there are research happening on this exact problem, where can other materials be used in the meanwhile. The issue here also is economies of scale. Is the material affordable enough to be able to provide to all panchayats and municipalities and wards where people keep reusing? There are places where actually bins are given. Slowly, these women have stopped giving bins because the public also keeps the bin, which is nice, uses it as buckets for water and all that, and gives it in like plastic covers, etc. The really flimsy ones. The issue here is, one is communication, that lack of understanding. And when a section is already feeling threatened all the time, they don't even want to hear reason from the other side, right? They are starting on the back foot and thinking of the worst case scenarios. In these cases, what we've typically done is we have banded together as a community, like you said, and approached the administration. Because whatever said and done, at the end of the day, these folks will respond better with the administration because they are truly more comfortable with the administration. In order for them to get comfortable with the community, that level of interaction, events, and daily back and forth need to happen, where then they will fully open up and you will realize that that was actually not the problem at all, at all. They just wanted to give you a reason. That is typically in my experience what has happened. In your case specifically, I would say yes, please band everyone together. If you go alone, that just signals that no one is supporting you, and support is important.
I think we have one last question.
He also
If
had a
we
question.
can
Yeah.
keep it to 2 minutes, and then the next session will start at 4.
Okay.
I have one observation. We recently moved to Mangalore, but then we have roots and family here, so we keep traveling like since childhood. One of the things that is a really common practice is families or households burn plastic in their backyard or whatever open space they have. And no matter what level of education or information we attempted to give, it didn't work. A couple of years back, one of the Kola Daiva sessions, the Daiva attempted to basically inform the community that, listen, stop burning this, I don't agree, you're spoiling my land. And that seemed to have worked, because immediately all the households in that area, or all the households that attended that, not only stopped, but also informed other households to stop it. That happened. But obviously, the problem of the plastic still getting collected is still a problem, because how does that get then passed on to the waste pickers, and because certain areas don't have a regular schedule of waste. That's just an observation that I'm sharing. The other part of it is, since we've moved here now, we are realizing that the place that we stay around, people are still dumping in these common areas where there are these big posters that are kept, 500 rupees, 5,000 rupee fines, but people are still dumping. What advice would you have for somebody like us? Again, we are not part of the community. We've not been part of the community for a really long time. But now that we are, and we share a house among them, what advice would you give us to approach this conversation of being responsible with how we deal with plastic specifically? Because the households are definitely throwing the waste, segregating it in whatever capacity they can, and there is a schedule, everybody follows that. That's not been a problem. But how do we initiate that conversation of, okay, let's be more responsible in the common spaces, the streets, the common areas, the junctions? Yeah.
So, in my limited experience, this belt responds to two things: maryade or money. So, we work with either fines or pride of place. And we are very, very prideful, proud people, and that almost always works. Work with the youngsters, the kids first, because if parents are asking kids' opinions on fridges, TVs, and vehicles, you know that kid or that youngster has the power to influence something at home. And it's relatively easier to find something more engaging to involve youngsters. So that is a pathway that is definitely open and little explored, in my opinion. And the other thing is, if your administration or the local police department is approachable, one way to do it is to have the fine system set up with them. We had certain cameras put in some places, and we had this rule where if you send a photo of someone littering, you will get a cash reward. But we said the cash reward will come from the fine that that person was paying. Because me and my best friend can't call and give one photo and then make free money from it. Again, everything is a deliberate uh, design, and then you see how it works. The important thing is to track. Okay, you tried 10 times. Did it work? Why did it not work? What are the different things you did? Otherwise, it's truly very difficult to keep reverse engineering what you did the last time. And it's always very, very surprising what finally works. Maybe you ended up melting the rock. Who knows? You like approached so many times that they finally changed. It was not any of the innovative exercises you did. So really record everything you do.
Thank you so much for that conversation.
Thank you.
And all those thoughtful questions, because you know, Divya, that curiosity and communication are at the heart of the design process. And so this exchange, I felt, you know, was an ode to design thinking and human-centered design in and of itself. So thank you again,
Thank you,
Divya,
everyone.
for that inspiring talk. And your work definitely shows how design, especially human-centered design and systems thinking, can move beyond ideas, prototypes, and copy-paste technology to create solutions that genuinely improve the lives on the ground in coastal communities with coastal communities. And to express our appreciation, I would like to call Alka to present a memento to you. Thank you. Even I'm